Hey there, welcome back to True North Reviews. My name is Ryan, and today we're doing a review of the new collaborative album between Labrinth, Sia, and Diplo. They form LSD. This one is called Labrinth, Sia, and Diplo Present LSD. So for a bit of a context in terms of what I've heard from each of the artists, we have Labrinth. I heard him on this collaborative cut with The Weeknd back in 2015 on the album Beauty Behind the Madness, and this one was called Losers. Thought that song was pretty good. I still think it's pretty good to this day. I haven't heard anything else from Labrinth, so this is like my first exposure to him, at least in terms of a full-length project. With Sia, who hasn't really heard of Sia at this point, she had that big single with David Guetta, Titanium. That one really rejuvenated her career. And since then, with the progression of the 2010s, she's put out numerous hits like Fire Meet Gasoline, as well as Cheap Thrills and Chandelier. And rounding out these three artists, we have Diplo. He's been known for producing electronic kind of beats. And most notably, I would say his biggest song, at least in terms of the mainstream, would be Where Are You Now? That's a Justin Bieber song. If I'm not mistaken, I think Skrillex was even on there too. So what we get in terms of this collaboration of the three artists is a 10-track project, and it's really 8 if we want to get picky, if we're not counting the intro and the remix that bookend the track listing. Notably with this record, it's based on the visuals, as we can tell with the album artwork. It's pretty tripped out. It's pretty out there. It's LSD after all. Sonically, this point is really driven home with the intro cut. We get like this guitar solo that matches the LSD infused like 1960s era. Not that the song sounds like it could have been made in the 1960s, but the solo really makes me think of like Jimi Hendrix. Maybe not as virtuosic, but still at least ringing a bell. And then obviously with the tripped out production, this is kind of hinting at some of the stuff we might get on the project, but it doesn't really transition that way because a lot of this album is just pretty conventional, pretty standard pop. Angel in Your Eyes is the second cut, and that really is elucidated here with the conventional pop. It has like this tropical house beat that is heard on pretty much every song these days. It's very synthesized, and I wouldn't really think it would work, but it's standing out compared to all these other songs that I've heard use that same tropical house drum beat. In the outro, we get some fooling around with the EQ, with the bass drum, and we get some telephonic reverb that's thrown on the vocals. Labrinth's vocals here are very powerful and fragile at the same time. Sia's ad-lib vocals also add very nicely to this track as well. I feel like she doesn't really even have to say real words for me to be like sitting on the edge of my seat. Then moving on from there, another solid track comes up next. It's called Genius. This one was released last year. I wasn't really a big fan of it then, but I think with like this exposure effect, it's really grown on me. It gets catchier and more addictive with each listen. We get this whistled chorus, and it's such an earworm of a tune. It's going to be stuck in your head for days. Audio is another strong quality song on here. I feel like it's very introspective, and when I say that, it's like something that really makes you want to ponder the meaning of life. It's like a perfect song to put on when it's late at night, you're driving around, and yeah, you just don't know where life is really going to take you, but this song might guide you there, as it does refer to audio. And I don't know about you, but when my life is kind of in shambles, I look to music to give me comfort, kind of just help me through the night, you know. The beat drop on this song, Audio, sounds like something off of the new Alex Lustig EP. Very human-like synthesizer, kind of breathy vocals, but it's watery in the way that like this synthesizer just sounds like humans. The bridge is compelling, and the melodic structure is pretty admirable, even though the beat drop is definitely derivative. I feel like the influences are just worn on the sleeve a little too much. And then rounding out the first half of this project, we get Thunderclouds, which is one of my favorite songs from 2018. So yeah, this album does like start off and transition pretty well through the first half, but then we get like this nosedive, and man, this album, the second half is just horrendous. It's atrocious. All of this really hits you square in the face when you listen to the first minute of Mountains. Really, just listen to the vocal performance, and that pretty much sums up what the second half of this album is. And even after that first minute of Mountains is over, the song just goes into this territory of like Nicki Minaj. It sounds exactly like the beat that we get on Pills and Potions. But yeah, the same drum beat, we get like the tambourine paired as like the snare. And even when this track does try to vary it up from Pills and Potions, it does that with like this very obnoxious synthesizer. It's very bombastic, and I will again say it is obnoxious. Moving on from there, we get the track No New Friends. This one I talked about in my Hot and Cold series. I didn't like it then, I still don't like it now. I feel like it's very generic. It's so bland. I just really want to bang my head off the wall. I just can't stomach this nauseating melody. We get more questionable vocal performances on the next song. This one's called Heaven Can Wait, and yeah, Sia just, I don't know who really gave her direction, who suggested that she sings this way. It's not appealing in the slightest. Then to make matters worse, I feel like the grimy and gritty production don't suit this track very well either. Then there's like these weird steel drums thrown on here, and I'm just like, no, this track is just trying way too hard to be genreless, and it is cool to like pull on different kind of influences. It's great and all to be eclectic, but when you're really spreading yourself thin and dipping your toes in a million different things, this song, it just sounds confused. This album definitely confuses me one last time on the closing cut, if we're not counting the remix of Genius with Lil Wayne. Yeah, the 9th track on here is called It's Time. I can tell Labrinth is really reaching. He's really trying hard to hit the height of his vocal range. And oh boy, is he struggling. It's an emotional track, I will give it that. I will give points to it. I just feel like it's such a sad piano ballad on an album that really for the most part goes for like this happy out there kind of sound and style. So yeah, stylistically overall I would give this album a lot of credit in terms of the visual tripped out LSD kind of concept. I just feel like a lot of these songs, especially the second half, just fail to take it to that tripped out place, and instead of being tripped out, it just feels pretty bland and stale. Really, all in all, not much is pushing the envelope here. Not much is really scratching that itch in terms of what I want scratched for pop music. The production isn't really outstanding either. I can draw many comparisons to artists that have been doing this in more exciting ways in the past few years. And yeah, overall, I would just say the first half is much stronger than the second half. A lot of the singles, a lot of the deeper cuts on the first half, if you could really call them deep cuts on a pop album. Yeah, they're a lot better. But I would say the first half, second half, they kind of cancel each other out, so that's what's really leading me to give this album a 5 out of 10. Sound off down below in the comments. Let me know what you think of this new LSD album. Do you think they will come out with another one? Or do you think this is really just it? Yeah, so sound off down below in the comments. Leave a like. Subscribe if you're new in town. Tell your friends about the channel. Let's build a music community together. Thanks for checking out the video, and as always, have a rockin' day.